All right, let's dive in. Today, we are not just looking at a book. We are stepping into what it calls an operational environment. We're firing up a forge, one that's designed to completely deconstruct and reforge our understanding of power. And we're starting with the very first spark.
Right out of the gate, the material hits you with this. 3 words. This is not a book. It's a challenge, right? It's telling you immediately, hey, put your expectations aside. This isn't passive information. This isn't some dead thing made of paper and ink. What you're about to engage with is something alive.
And this is what it means. It's not a book, it's a forge. You see, this isn't about learning facts. It's about starting a process. A pretty brutal one, actually. The purpose is to take who you are right now and, like a blacksmith, burn away all the parts that aren't truly you, leaving something stronger, something more real.
So that's the core concept we have to get our heads around. The whole point isn't to inform you, but to initiate something within you. It's designed, it claims, to shatter the walls of a prison we don't even know we're living in. So what is this prison? Well, according to this, it's the idea that you are powerless. Think about it. We're taught from day one that we are just small things happening in a universe of huge, powerful causes. Gods, governments, physics. We're just the effect. And this book doesn't call that a misunderstanding. It calls it enslavement.
Okay, so if that's the problem, this state of enslavement, then what's the solution? This is where it pivots to its central promise. And it's not about asking for power or hoping for it. It's about understanding the mechanics of seizing it deliberately.
And here's the deal it offers you. This is the pact. It's a promise of a profound personal transformation. The whole system is set up to walk you through a process. First, you dismantle that conditioned, powerless slave self, and then, from the ashes, you forge a self-governing, sovereign being. And all of it, is built on this one, single, unshakable foundation, the red axiom. Now, this isn't presented as some feel-good metaphor. It's laid out like a fundamental law of physics. The idea is that your conscious will, isn't just a player in your reality. It is the supreme and ultimate cause. So how exactly does it propose to take you on this journey? Well, it's not a random collection of ideas. It's a very specific, structured path, and it's divided into what it calls the 8 gates. And you can see the path laid out right here. It starts by tearing down our understanding of history, then it moves on to the self, the human instrument, before it even begins to initiate you into the core practices. So for the rest of our time here, we're going to focus on that very first step, the first spark, from Chapter 1 of Gate 1. All right, to get this, we have to go back way, way back. Before history, before organized religion, before science as we know it. We have to start in the absolute darkness, where it says humanity discovered its first real power, in the face of absolute terror. I want you to really try and picture this. Your earliest ancestor. You're not quite human yet. And your world isn't just a place. It's a living, breathing predator. The wind, the thunder, the river, these aren't just forces of nature. They're intelligent spirits, and they are not friendly. In this world, you are prey. That's the starting point of human consciousness. Total, gut-wrenching powerlessness. And then, something happens. A mutation. In one mind, this absolutely world-breaking thought sparks into existence. What if? What if the world inside my head can actually change the world outside my body? This question, this is presented as the seed of everything. All magic, all religion, all science. It's the moment a creature of pure effect first dared to think it could become a cause. This was the birth of the first magician. Now, we call this person a shaman, but the book says you have to just annihilate the caricature we all have in our heads. Forget the witch doctor image. We're asked to reframe this figure as the very first scientist of consciousness, not someone just begging spirits for favors, but a kind of engineer, interfacing directly with the operating system of reality itself. And their tools? They get a total reframe, too. This wasn't primitive stuff. It was a sophisticated technology. The rhythmic drum wasn't just for music. It was a weapon used to alter brainwaves and shatter linear time. The trance state wasn't some delusion. It was a controlled, surgical dive into the subconscious. And those cave paintings of the successful hunt? Not just art. They were a declaration of war on fate, an act of imprinting a desired reality onto the future. So what it all comes down to is this. That first magic, it was raw. It was dangerous, for sure. But it was the original test case for the sovereignty of will. It was the first real proof that maybe, just maybe, the universe actually listens to consciousness, and that we are not just passive observers along for the ride.
Okay, so that's the ancient history. But what does any of this have to do with you, right here, right now? Well, that's the whole point. The book argues that this primal fire, this first power, it didn't just vanish back in the Stone Age. The idea is that this power was systematically suppressed. It was buried, first by religions that told us all the power belonged to some external god, turning us from actors into subjects. And then it got buried again, this time by a rigid materialism that taught us we're just biological machines, that our consciousness is just a random, meaningless accident. And this brings us right to the core takeaway of this entire first chapter. That urge you feel, the desire to be a cause in your own life, to command your own reality, it's not a childish fantasy you're supposed to grow out of. According to this text, it is your direct inheritance. It's the oldest and most noble legacy of our species, handed down from that first ancestor who dared to ask that impossible question in the dark. And so the whole introduction ends right back where it started, with a challenge. The forge is lit. It's offering you a trade. Everything you are in exchange for everything you could be. The choice, it says, is yours, and it always has been. A pretty provocative way to end, framing power not as something you get, but as something you choose. A very demanding choice at that.